Hi everyone. One of the hardest attributes to maintain, especially nowadays, is that of optimism. With all that's going on around us, the confusion, the politics, the fighting, it is very hard to maintain an optimistic front. I read a very fascinating article this week in the Atlantic magazine by McKay Coppins, a very talented writer who's a very devout Mormon, and he describes the power of the Mormon church. When you and I think of the Mormon church, perhaps we might snicker. Its origins are, the stuff of legend, kind of an urban myth. Guy walking in the forest, gets tapped on the head by some angel, finds some golden tablets. It makes for perhaps amusing reading. And he even acknowledges that a little bit. However, he says very fascinatingly the appeal and endurance of the Mormon religion, which against all odds not only has survived, but has exploded. $100 billion in assets, more thousands of adherents increasing every year. Their power keeps on growing. And he said one of probably the central tenet of Mormonism and the reason for its incredibly enduring success is the fact that they are trained, almost to the point of brainwashing perhaps, to be optimistic and also to volunteer to no end. These two twin factors, their spirit of volunteerism and their optimism, is what drives and propels the religion to great heights and great success. And he says, for example, that when young Mormons are trained to go out and preach, they're spat upon, they're laughed at. They wear those uniforms with the black tie, the white shirt, and the little name tag. And they're jeered and heckled, and they're trained to have a smile and say, thank you, God bless, and go on to the next person, and go on to the next person. In the 50s and 60s, they were even more persecuted. Now I think they're more accepted, and these kind of physical interactions don't happen. But this spirit of optimism that, okay, that person was interested, I'm going to go on, he said, has made the church very successful. And I thought that was such a powerful lesson. One of the greatest sages of all time in Judaism, the person who's probably most recognized by, or at least the name is recognized even by very secular, unaffiliated Jews, is that of Rabbi Akiva, the great sage who at the age of 40 was a total ignoramus and yet became one of the greatest scholars and probably the last link of tradition in his day to carry it on to the next generation. And Rabbi Akiva is known for his optimism. He's the one who coins the phrase, you should love your friend like yourself. He's the one, that's the Torah phrase, but he's the one who promulgates it and extends it to the whole Jewish people and enjoins us to really believe in that virtue. In a famous passage in the Talmud, he's walking with two or three friends in the ruins of the temple, and they all are crying, and they say the prophecies of the temple being destroyed have come true, and he laughs, and they say, Rabbi Akiva, why are you laughing? And he said, because the very same prophecy that said that the temple will be destroyed is also the same prophet that says the temple will be rebuilt, and for that I laugh. And they said, Rabbi Akiva, you have comforted us. Indeed, the eternal optimism is an ingrained part of the Jewish experience from our wandering and our nomadic state of being throughout the generations. And as we head a little further into winter, let's try to maintain our optimism and understand that, as I said a few weeks ago, the salvation of the Almighty can come in the blink of an eye. But we have to be optimistic, keep our head up, continue to help each other. And even though perhaps we're feeling a little bit frustrated, or very frustrated, or down, very down, the mark of the Jewish secret to success is certainly more than the Mormons. We should be possessing this great trait of optimism as embodied by Rabbi Akiva and as embodied by Moses and Aaron as they constantly said to the Jewish people, starting in this week's Parshiyot Torah portions, the Almighty loves you and we will take you out of here to a greater and more glorious future. Shabbat Shalom.